Hi, welcome back. Let me just get this picture up. Okay, I think, I think hopefully, where can I put me that I'm not blocking too much? Okay. As you can see, I am still experimenting with new technology. Um, and if this is your first visit here, sorry about that. Hi, I'm Chava. I'm a life coach. I'm a practitioner of Chinese medicine, and I am working to help people experience less pain and suffering in their lives by answering questions like, how can I get my children to do their homework? So here we go. How can I get my children to do their homework, to do their schoolwork through the principles of Chinese medicine? And what I have here on the screen is mostly for my benefit. I put up this. I went into Canva and I did this beautiful, beautiful diagram. This is actually the map of the energies of the personality of one of the children who is being asked about. I have the other one that I will bring up when we get to her. And this is mostly for my benefit so that I can actually look at the screen and remember what I'm going to say. But I'll also point out things that might be um, visually accessible, even to people who haven't studied for decades how to draw and read these maps. So today's question is: how can I help my children be motivated to finish their schoolwork, to finish their revision, to finish everything they have to get done? One of the children in question, see this I should have put up on the screen so I would remember, was born in the second half of 2004 and one in the first half of 2007. So we're going to start with the older boy. We're going to start with the boy. We're going to start with the older kid, looking at his map and seeing what we can understand about his needs and drives and motivations, and then how we can work with them to encourage him to do what he needs to get done. And then we're going to look at the second map, which is of the girl, of the younger child, young woman ish, 2007. I don't even know how old that is. That's like 15. So yeah, that's going to be 15. So adolescent. So we're going to look at both of these adolescents' personalities, and then discuss how we can help them um, accomplish things that they need to accomplish. So diving in here, um, what we see when we look at the map of the boy, of our young man, is that first of all, we see there's a reasonable balance of energies. You can see that there's something in every part of this chart. Um, and we see that the two main energies that are represented, I see that the two main energies that are represented, you're probably not going to see this, are of the wood energy, and the earth energy, where the wood represents creativity, and it represents the ability to start things, and it represents foresight and imagination and dreaming and planning and looking ahead and seeing what changes need to be made and doing things in a new and different manner. And the earth represents nurturing and nourishing and supporting and providing a safe space to work in and a safe foundation to grow from, and stability and security and routine, we could even say. So when we put these two things together, we have a very, very strong background that will allow change and growth and creativity. So that's amazing. I really love people who have this mix of energies. They just seem to find me in life. Apparently, in a previous video, I said some of my best friends have this energy mix, and I was called out for sounding, I don't know what, racist or something by a friend of mine. But some of my best friends do have this mix of energies. And then the other thing that we see represented is we have here in the water energy, we have the branch energy is water, where the water represents intuition and um, intuition, and there's another word that I usually use that I'm currently blanking on and starts with I. And our inner motivations and our subconscious and our instincts and our drives and all of these things that kind of come built into the package of being a person. So having a very deep connection to all of that. The branch energy being water also means that the zodiac animal is the monkey. Um, so this is a kid who was born in the year of the monkey. And there's all sorts of other stuff going on, but we're going to start there for now. So what do we need to motivate someone who is all about change, all about growth, and all about connection to himself, his intuitions, his feelings about what's right? Um, First of all, this is probably someone who's going to have an easier time starting things than finishing them. Okay, he's got a lot of starting energy. He's got like this ability to go out there, to plan, to imagine, to start the project, and it might be that where he needs some help is with follow through. Um, and so, one of the things that might be possible is to, before he starts working on something, to sit and plan out what he's going to do, what all the steps are, what needs to be done. Make a plan, imagine it, look forward, look at it in the future when it's all exciting and, oh, I can't wait to get to do this, instead of waiting until, when it's the time for me to do it, then it starts getting kind of boring. It stops being this imaginary exciting future that I can plan it out, and now it's the routine. I have to do one step after the other. And once he's bogged down in the routine, it's going to be harder for him to connect to that joy of creation and planning. And so, yeah, so maybe planning everything out in advance, what day you're going to do which, or breaking projects down to different steps and seeing, what has to be done in what order, and having a time that he's going to start working every day. And then having a time when he stops working every day, if possible, so that he doesn't get um, carried away in the excitement of, oh, I'm going to do this, and 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 then he doesn't have the wherewithal to follow through on all of those plans. Um, so providing a bit of structure for the imagination and for the planning could be good. Other things that can be helpful, because we do have a lot of this earth energy, and the earth energy is all about routine and it's all about regular, everyday things, is having a regular session maybe at the same time every day where he does his homework, or at the same time every week, or having a routine around getting into schoolwork time where maybe, I'm just throwing this out there because I don't know what your schedule is, but maybe you come home from school and you have a shower and you have a snack, and then you do 10 jumping jacks to get the blood flowing, and then you start doing the homework and you do it for such and such an amount of time, and then you stop. Having some sort of routine that leads into it can make it easier, despite this being a kid who's got all of this like energy of starting things and change and growth and all that. So it might be easier for him to start projects than otherwise would. But building up a routine of just maybe one or two things that you put together to get him into the homework doing state of mind might make it easier to do things on a regular basis, and not just when he's excited about whatever this next project is. Um, okay, other things that can be helpful, looking more at the branch energy, at the water, at that monkey. So, what does the monkey represent? The monkey, again, the monkey is connected to the water, and the water represents our instincts and our drives. The monkey is kind of like an uninhibited human being. Um, and what we see very often with monkey type people is that these are people who are very, very deeply connected to their inner selves and to their inner feelings, and to their drives, to their instincts, to their motivations, to what's going on with them. They have this sort of connection to the depths of their personality, of their psyche, of their spirit. And because of that, they kind of turn everything that they do into a game, right? Because if we're connected to something that's very deep and very solemn or scary or hidden in a way, sometimes the only way to work with that is to make a game of it, to bring some humor into it. I don't remember who, some psychologist whose lecture I was listening to was talking about studying something reasonably horrific, a reasonably horrific period in history, and exploring the psychological motivations of the people involved, and said that sometimes things are so deep and so solemn that the only way to approach them is with a working sense of humor. Um, and so the monkey, which is often seen as this kind of, oh, he's a joker, he's a playful, mischievous sort of person. But the monkey, that's the exterior, and the interior is this deep connection to inner motivation. So why are we talking about all of that? Because there's two different ways we can approach working with this kind of monkey energy, and one is to turn things into a game. Um, to see, you can challenge yourself to see if you can complete this project faster than you did last time, or faster than a friend from school, or to see if you can do all of your reading material while standing on your head. You can bring in an element of play, and that is going to make everything more more attractive, both to the monkey energy and to the wood energy, because if you bring in a little bit of challenge, a little bit of need to stretch, um, obviously not on the things where it's really hard and he's going to have to like sit and think and review a lot. But if you have something that it's hard to do because it seems too easy, it seems kind of boring, then there you go. That's one thing you can try, is to make a game out of it. Another thing is to come from completely the opposite direction, and to do some sort of meditative work or journaling, and have your son get in touch with what his actual motivation is to do this. Right? Is it, oh, I need to finish this piece of schoolwork because I need such and such a grade, because I need to graduate with a particular grade, because I want to go into college and study something, that requires a higher, or do I want to do this because I personally care about doing things right, and I want to know that I got the best grade that I did? Or maybe, do I literally have no motivation to do this, and I would prefer to just knock it off and get it done, but I'll have a much nicer time for the rest of the week if this isn't hanging over my head. So I can connect to my motivation of wanting to check it off and call it good enough and then move on with my life. But to really understand like what's going on inside, why do I need to do this for me? Not for the people around me, for my parents, for the school. Why do I need to do this for me? Is there a reason? Um, and then based on what that reason is, to decide how much time and effort I'm going to put in. And is this something where it's important to me that I do it the best that I can, or is it important that I check it off on the to-do list and it's behind me and I can move on with my life? Because not everything has to be done perfectly. And I think it's one of the very important things, maybe that kids, that young adults, that the people learn when they go to university rather than school, rather than not elementary, primary, whatever, 12 years of school, is to prioritize and to decide where you're going to put your energy, and which classes you really need to learn, and which ones is it okay to do to get by, because this isn't actually something that you're going to need later in life, but you have to do it because it's a prerequisite or something. um, Right. So I guess those are my main recommendations for your son. Is connecting to a feeling of creativity. Use his planning ability. Use his affinity for routines. Make it a game, or really connect to like his motivation for doing it. One other thing is, anything that he can do with another person, with a community around him, where he's connecting to people. That's going to help him feel more supported and more able to do his thing. So if he can get a study partner, or even if he needs to think something through before he can write an essay, to have someone to talk to, that the connecting with another person and sharing of ideas is going to help him be stronger and more able to do his best work. Um, Okay, so there we go. I think that was six suggestions for you. And we're now going to move on to the other map. So let me see if I can do this without losing the video. This is, I should have practiced this beforehand. Let's see. Yes. Okay. Brilliant. Okay. I'm very excited. This may not appear to be a great triumph for you, but I'm going to take this win. Okay. Moving on. So in this map, this is the personality of a girl who was born in the first half of 2007. So that is the year of the boar or the year of the pig. Um, and what we see here is you don't have to know much about, you don't have to know anything about how these maps work to see that this one is a less balanced, or you could say more focused map than the previous one. If I don't want to tempt fate here, but let's see. Okay, so if you see here, there's something going on in pretty much every area of the map. There's only a little bit here, but there's some representation in all of the different energies. And here it's basically we've got the wood, we've got the fire, there's like a little bit in the earth, there's a tiny bit in the water, and there is nothing going on. This arrow does not mean that there's energy here. This arrow is actually the body, person, spirit, holistic unity thing, trying to bring energy in from this section, even though there isn't really anything going on. So we're going to discuss why that is in a minute. But first, I just want to make clear that saying that this map is less balanced than the other does not mean it's bad. We as a society need all sorts of different people, and it is greatly to our benefit as human beings who live in a society with other human beings, that there are people who are very focused on one thing, who are really good at something, who are geniuses in a specific area, right? We need people who are driven and are passionate and are focused on one thing, because they're going to go far further with it than someone who's more of a balanced jack of all trades who can do all right here or here or here. I'm sorry. It's like I need to sneeze, but it's just not happening. So, moving on. um, right. Back with you. Okay. So, there are all sorts of different blends of energies that can be come up with, some of which are more extreme, or more extremely focused in one area, some of which are more spread out. They are all important. They're all essential to society, that we have all these different types of people. And we can prove that because we do have all of these different types of people. The system is set up to produce all of the different kinds of people that there are. Ergo, we need all of them. And I heard a lecture recently. I've been studying the Big Five personality system, and the person giving the lecture said literally the fact that we have these five different aspects of personality, and that people are evenly distributed among all of them. You have people who are stronger in here and stronger in this and stronger in this and stronger in this and stronger in this, and in each one you have a spectrum, and we have a normal distribution of people within the spectrum, which means there's more people in the middle, there's some people on the ends, and it's kind of a bell curve thing. Like literally the fact that no matter how we look at it, you get people being broken up into these different groups evidently means that from an evolutionary perspective, we need people who can do all of these things, or else, the people who are one extreme wouldn't have reproduced. So I obviously got interested in it because we have a five and there's a five, and I actually do have a theory about how the five energies and the big five personality aspects correlate. So possibly for a future video. But all right, now moving on to your daughter and how to help her with her schoolwork and with her revision. So what we see here is that we see that the two biggest energies that are represented, the two major sources of energy that we have here, are the wood and the fire. So the wood, just like with your son, the wood is all the creativity, all the growth, all the starting things, and the dreaming, and the imagining, and the planning, and the seeing the future. And the fire is all about the connection. It's all about sharing. It's all about communicating. It's connecting to other people. It's sharing ideas and experiences and thoughts and emotions. The fire is absolutely essential if you want to be a teacher, or a good teacher, at least someone who can really make a connection with the students and inspire them to be interested in the material. The fire is essential if you're going to be an actor. You need the fire energy is what you feel when someone is playing music and you get swept up in it, or if you sing with a choir, or if you do folk dancing with everyone dancing together and acting as one entity. The fire is the energy that creates that feeling of community and that feeling of connection. So these are two things that she has in abundance. Um, and so ways that you can use these to help motivate her might include things like, just like back with the previous map with your son. So thinking, taking advantage of her affinity for thinking and planning. Think and plan and dream about how you're going to get all the work done. um, and come up with some sort of idea of what you're going to do at each step and how you're going to do it. Plan it out in advance. That can be helpful. It might be really, really important here that she have someone to study with. If it's a friend from school, if it's someone in the same year, or even with her older brother or with one of her parents, even to sit and have someone in the same room might be helpful. Someone she can bounce ideas off of, or who can just help to keep her focused on what she's doing, because it can be really hard with people who have this great fire energy to stay focused on something which is a thing. um, they might be able to be intensely focused on a person or on a work of art. They might be really good in conversation at staying focused, or able to focus on a piece of artwork or music or a theater production. But if they're having to do something which is like, here's a thing and I have to poke it, and then I have to write on it, and then I have to turn the page, there's just nothing there to arouse their interest and their ability to stay connected and focused with what's going on. So if there's any way to make the homework more creative or more social, or more about connecting to other people, that can be helpful. Thinking about the future can be helpful. Thinking about, me 10 years in the future, will I be happier if I've done this homework or not? This might backfire if she really doesn't think there's any point in doing the specific project, but but having a kind of future focus can make things easier. She could try even journaling and writing down. And I have a friend who teaches a workshop on how to do this. Write down in the past tense, right? She hasn't done the homework yet. She would like to have it done, so she writes down, I have finished my homework. I feel so what? I feel happy that it's done. I feel excited. I feel relieved. I'm thrilled that I got it done so early and I have all of the rest of the evening ahead of me. Um, use that ability to kind of um, project herself into the future, which is kind of what imagination is, to motivate herself to get to the best possible future. Um, or again, the idea of connection with another person. If she can have an accountability buddy or a friend that she studies with, or I don't know, some sort of group chat where she and a friend and her friends can all post when they finish their homework, and then the others can cheer them on and say, congratulations, you did it. Um, Anything that can bring a social aspect into it can be helpful. Also, for her, the providing a structure. Um, because what she doesn't have here, and I mean, obviously, we all have all of the energies. We can all do everything. It's not like anyone is missing part of their personality, but what she has, the least amount of representation in her map is the metal energy, where the metal represents structure and decisiveness and decision making. And if the wood is all about planning and dreaming and, oh, I see myself in 5 years sitting on the beach after graduating college, the metal is what comes in and it's what builds the step-by-step plan. Okay, thing one, we have to finish this homework. Thing two, we have to finish the week. And sometimes I use the analogy of a tomato plant. I don't know if you ever tried to grow tomatoes. My mother desperately wanted to grow tomatoes. She did not realize that you can't have chickens and tomatoes in the same garden. So there was like new tomatoes every year. Every year the chickens ate them. But I got to see a lot of tomato plants. I grew up on a farm. I worked on a farm. And one of the things about tomato plants is that, and a lot of plants actually, but I always have a mental image of those poor tomatoes, is if you just plant the little seedling in the ground and let it grow, it grows out like this. It just grows along the ground and it spreads out and it ends up taking up a huge patch of the grass, and then it gets stepped on and it gets grown over, and the fruit is just sitting right there on the ground, and with the first time it gets wet they start to rot away, and then the chickens come and eat them all. This is my experience with tomatoes. But if you take the seedling and you put it in the middle of this framework, this trellis, this little like fence, enclosed fence that it can climb, it still won't keep chickens out. But if you don't have chickens, you're going to end up with a tomato plant that's growing up. Instead of going everywhere, it's going to grow in one direction. It's going to get closer to the sun. It's going to get more sun on its leaves because everything else isn't going to be growing over it. It's going to be much stronger. It's going to produce a lot more fruit. And that fruit will be held up off the ground. It's going to be up in the air where you can come along and you can pick it. And it's not going to rot the first time there's dew on the ground. And so sometimes people who have all of this creative energy and they can start things and they can do projects and they can dream, they don't get anywhere because their energy is all spread out. And if you can come along and you can give them a framework to dream inside of and to help structure and plan their goals, or structure and plan the path to where they want to get in order to achieve their goals, they can achieve so much, but they need a little bit of help with the direction. So with your daughter, I think that it might be very helpful to provide, for you to provide a structure, a time, a schedule that you study from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m., or that you have to do all your homework on Wednesday and Thursday. I don't know what your schedule is. I don't even know how school works where you live. But provide a structure, help her because she needs the social aspect, plan out and imagine what she's going to do when, because she can't naturally, she's not naturally going to be good at coming up with her own structure. It's just, sometimes it's not fair to expect that of people. And so this is something that it can be very helpful for her to get from the outside. She can also use, so structure and scheduling, a community a community aspect, a working with people, a social community or social aspect. Take advantage of her ability to project herself into the future. Think about how she's going to feel once she's done, how happy she's going to be to have it off her plate. And then the other thing that might be helpful in this case is that she has all of this creative, growing, moving energy, it's still helpful for her to get it from the outside. So in her case, it might make it easier for her to sit down and work if before that she does something that's a little physical or a little creative. So it could be like jumping jacks, or going outside and running around the outside of the house 3 times, or jumping rope. Anything that's going to get her blood pumping a bit might afterwards make it easier for her to concentrate, or to do something creative, to sing or to write or to dance around the house. Again, I don't know. Music and dancing is great because that's going to bring in both the fire and the wood, but I don't know what her interests are. But if there's something creative that she can do before starting, and maybe during breaks or after she finishes as a reward, um, then that could be very helpful. Yeah. Okay. I think that's about all I have to say. Um, I hope that at least some of these suggestions were helpful or will be helpful, or at least interesting. I would love to hear if they helped. Please feel free to reach out and let me know, or if you have any other questions, or if you want something clarified. And if anyone watching has a question that you want answered, like how to get your kids to do their homework or your in-laws to be a little more polite around the dinner table, I've done that one too. Not publicly. That was a private consultation. You know, feel free to reach out. You can leave a comment. You can email. I love doing this. Excuse me. Finally, the sneeze comes. I love doing this. I love answering questions and having to kind of stretch my abilities and look for answers that I have not had to had to hunt down before. So yeah, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I am turning into a real YouTuber. Have a great day. Bye.